On today's movie review, we are doing a review of a movie that's sort of like another movie. Stay tuned to find out. Theyre Inside tells the story of when two sisters go to an isolated cabin in the woods to film a passion project. Family secrets start to get in the way, as do masked strangers filming a passion project of their own. Now, stop me for a second if you sort of heard of something like this before. We'll get to that a little bit later on in the review. Now, didn't watch the trailer for this, did not know anything about this other than like my Twitter line, like Modern Horrors talked about it, and I saw sort of like the picture of the trailer, which I knew there was a creepy sort of mask. I knew it was home invasion and found footage. And those two factors together, I think, make up what would be a good movie. And that's normally when it comes to movies. This one, not so much. So the movie kind of has a twist to it where it's found footage, but they're filming a movie as we're watching them sort of create a movie. So it's like Inception within Inception, sort of just keeps going deeper and deeper if you sort of peel back all the layers. Now, 2/3 of this is pretty boring in my opinion. I mean, you don't care about the characters, you don't care about what's happening at the house, you don't care about what they're filming. There's some intercuts in there which kind of leave a little mystery of something else is kind of going on here.
I did this for all of us.
Right around that third act is where things kind of pick up, and that's where sort of the mask home invasion part kind of takes place. And from there, it gets a little more interesting, but that first half of this movie is boring. Also, when a horror movie starts off with something happening, and then you go into the movie where it's like, oh, it's going to be bland for the next like 30-40 minutes until we get to the home invasion part. Not a good way to start a movie, in my opinion. And what I was talking about earlier about this sounding and looking just like another movie is kind of funny. Case in point, all while watching this, I kept thinking of The Strangers. Now, what's funny enough is when you look on Epic, I want to say it's Epic Pictures. Yes, when you look on Epic Pictures Group, which I'm believing is the people that are producing this movie or releasing it, they even said Theyre Inside is finally here. If you love hashtag The Strangers, you gotta watch Theyre Inside now. Yeah, I don't really like when movie studios do that because it feels more like a ploy or some kind of push from the marketing department to say, if you like this movie, it's just like this. It's one thing if we do it as critics or the community or people who are watching the movie say like, oh, if you love Scream, you're going to watch, I Know What You Did Last Summer, or you're going to like Urban Legend because they're similar. But there's a point of those being similar but different in where The Strangers and this one almost like carbon copies in ways. There are things that are scenes that are taken right out of this movie, taken right out of the Stranger Things. There are scenes in this one that pretty much come right out of The Strangers. The creepy knock at the door with the strange, weird female, weird noises in the night. Even something that happens in the third act looks just like it's shot out of The Strangers. So I kept wondering myself if this is sort of like The Strangers, why am I not just watching The Strangers instead? And you can put that on the quote, which is something I'm going to start doing for every review going forward. Theyre Inside. Zombie Chris says, why am I not just watching The Strangers instead? There we go. That pretty much sums up this movie. 2/3 of this movie is pretty boring and bland. Characters make dumb decisions, And it's sort of a pet peeve I have in this day and age of movie writing, especially when it comes to horror movies, how we can't write, characters to be a little bit smarter. When things go a little wrong, why are they still making dumb decisions? There's plenty of times throughout this movie I kept thinking, why are they doing dumb things? Why haven't they thought of a new plan? Why haven't they, waited till daytime and everybody walk together and leave? And of course, you might say there's things that are answered and that's why certain things don't happen, but still pretty dumb in my opinion. It's pretty much The Strangers just shot in a found footage kind of type of way. Oh, also to note, this movie was shot in 11 days. So there's that. Side note. I never watch anybody's review of something I'm going to review myself until I have finished reviewing it, because I never want to be persuaded or, have something of an impression from someone else's review in my review. So I've only looked at the titles, and most people seem to really hype this movie up, or they thought it was good. Me, on the other hand, don't think so. Sorry. And that is my review of Theyre Inside. I'm sorry to say I didn't really enjoy this movie, but if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link down in the description box. And if you've seen it, or at least a trailer, let me know what you thought of it. Does it pique your interest? You can check out The Horror Show did a review on it. They seem to like it. I didn't, but you have to make your own decisions on that one. So leave the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and thank you guys for the support. And that's it. Peace out.